What's up, gamers, and welcome to another edition of RNG, Random News of Gaming, featuring The Coof. I felt like garbage the past week or so, but things are much better now, and that's right on time because we have a lot of garbage to go over for the past month. Like, come on, I was hoping this video was going to be an easy one since I changed the way I'm doing the releases now, but no. This industry just can't keep their hands clean for 5 minutes. And the fanboys? Oh god. Summer's hitting hard this year, it seems. So why not start off with the biggest dumpster fire of the month, Assassin's Creed Shadows. Yeah, if you remember a few months back, the whole Yasuke samurai drama was already in the news, and I thought it would barely be worth talking about because at the time, it wasn't. But in July, this became a major story because things escalated in a way I did not expect at all. Holy shit. So originally, the drama was pretty cut and dry. Ubisoft chose their protagonist, Yasuke, an African man who allegedly lived in Japan during the Sengoku period alongside Oda Nobunaga, to be portrayed as a samurai. Whether or not this was historically accurate was still up for debate. So a lot of people were not happy, including, and especially, the Japanese. But a lot of people insisted this was historically true, including one historian named Thomas Lockley, who had published several works on Yasuke being a samurai. The first major pushback started early in the month with a Change.org petition being started in Japan to stop the game from being released in Japan. But you know how these things go. Many of the signees were probably not from Japan, so this could have been justifiably ignored. But it did manage to get up to 100,000 signed by the end of the month, so this sentiment has definitely been growing over time, especially after what happened with Mr. Lockley. Apparently, as a result of all the drama regarding this game, he was exposed as having manipulated the Wikipedia article on Yasuke using his own work as a source. Also, various historians and journalists from Japan came forth to call him out as being a fraud, which caused him to go completely dark on social media. Now, the prevailing narrative is that Yasuke was not a samurai and that we've been lied to about him for the past few decades. So, congratulations, Lockley, I guess. Now, this whole thing also made Ubisoft look really stupid, and they were compelled to release a long apology note to try and placate the Japanese audience. Well, it's not working.
We're sorry.
And honestly, this could have been avoided pretty easily. It only took me a few minutes to think of a different plot idea. Yasuke, while living in Japan, was secretly working with the assassins while serving under Nobunaga, which means he could not be a samurai due to conflicts with their code. Simple. Obviously, people are saying that the preferable idea would be to just have the male main character be an Asian man, and yeah, that would have easily avoided any and all controversy. Especially considering that this is the first and only time they are using a character that's a different race from the region the game is set in, for some strange reason. Wonder what that could be. But it doesn't end there. This whole thing blew up so much that it's gotten the eyes and ears of the Japanese government, and they may be getting involved with the whole situation now. Ubisoft has literally triggered an international incident by announcing their game.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Or have they? Maybe this kind of nonsense will help the game sell more, since more people are talking about it rather than forgetting it exists like last year's Ass Creed Mirage. Now let's make fun of PlayStation again because PlayStation Network went down. Oh, all this always online connectivity for their PC ports is starting to sound like a great idea, isn't it? This seems to happen to them quite a lot, and they still have the gall to increase their prices across the board. Well, this time in Turkey only. But this is really bad for the people there because buying a game now costs them 1/5 of their monthly minimum wage, which is absolutely insane to think about. Best thing you can do if you live there is just switch to PC. But PlayStation wasn't the only one having network issues. Xbox Live, which includes Xbox Game Pass, went down in July as well. Twice. Remember, this is even worse on Xbox than it is on PlayStation because you can still install games and launch them offline on PlayStation. Xbox is always online, and Game Pass is supposed to be their biggest draw. So if you're paying for that and it goes offline for whatever reason, you're screwed. To be fair, the second outage wasn't exactly Microsoft's fault though. That was a result of the massive CrowdStrike outage that screwed millions of computers around the world. Maybe you've heard about it. But these two outages couldn't have come at a worse time for Xbox Game Pass because they also announced they would be increasing the price. Again. And for what? Call of Duty, of course. Since the whole Activision thing went through, they now have the license to put a lot of their games on Game Pass, including the newest Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, with the upcoming Black Ops 6 expected to be on there as well. But what if you don't play Call of Duty? Does this price increase do anything for you? Not really. The lowest tier of Game Pass that doesn't include access to COD also increased in price, and for little or no benefit to the user. And remember, you need to pay that price to even play online on Xbox consoles. Truly a worthless platform if you ask me. I'm telling you, if you have a PC, there is no reason to own an Xbox. Period. And it turns out the FTC is after Microsoft again as a result of this price hike, calling it a degraded product, especially since the lowest tier of Game Pass doesn't include access to new games day one anymore. Now, this isn't all that surprising considering the FTC has been hammering Microsoft endlessly for the past couple of years and, well, not doing a very good job of it. Even though their claims seem to be a lot more cut and dry this time, I don't expect anything positive to come from the FTC at this point. On a related note, another group you should never expect anything positive or decent out of: fanboys. And yeah, I found a good Xbox fanboy to feature as Worst Take of the Month. Finally, a small little YouTuber tried to poke the hornet's nest by defending Xbox Game Pass price increase and calling everyone who's against it broke.
Just stop!
Nice. Bootlicking at its finest. Surely the Sony ponies are beat out with this one, right? Right? Why, PlayStation fanboys, why? Why do you always make yourselves look like the biggest deranged idiots in the gaming community every single month without fail? Roll the clip.
100%. Take it off PC. Matter of fact, you already locked it out of 177 countries. Stop selling it on PC. Okay? Why would I support the game on PC? Like, why would I support it being on PC? They get to play for free. They don't want to make an account. They want to act like quiet little baby bitches. I'm glad they're leaving. I'm glad. The less of them there are, the more I feel like supporting the game and buying it on PlayStation.
What the actual fuck? The less PC players play Helldivers 2, the more I want to support it. This guy's not trolling either, folks, I assure you.
So in any case, Sony hasn't lost any money. And you know what? Again, the less PC players are on this game, just knowing that makes me sleep better at night. I don't like these people. I don't. They're cheaters, they're scammers, they're awful people. They are a cry bitch ass fan base. I want less of them. The less of them there are, the better. That's it.
I sleep better at night knowing less PC gamers play my game. Oh my god, I could not believe it when I heard it either, folks. It's one thing to be such a massive fanboy to one platform, but to hold such contempt for other players just because they don't play on the platform you do, that's just next level. Which brings us to Greg Miller.
What I do need is people to get their shit figured out and get Dragon Age Inquisition working on a Steam Deck. Tell all your PC friends about this, Greg.
Hey, PC friends who haven't been caught and put in jail yet for being pedophiles, I would really love it if you would help Andy by modding this. I know you love your mods. I know you. The developers, they had a vision and they made a game, but you say, fuck that. I'd like to put this cube in it that breaks everything. If you could help Dragon Age Inquisition get running before Chris Hansen and the FBI break down your door, that'd be great.
It's amazing how every time you open your mouth, you prove you're an idiot.
Wow, similar energy here, except this guy is somehow part of the mainstream press. Yep, he's supposed to be a so-called professional, but here he is being a blatant douche to an extremely large group of gamers for no apparent reason, other than what you could probably guess. Yeah, he's a massive Sony pony as well. And they call his show kind of funny, but...
Not funny. Dickens, laugh.
Honestly, I can't decide which fanboy is worse this time, so enjoy the free double feature. But man, I thought I was finally going to be able to feature an Xbox fanboy for once, but no. The Sony ponies once again have proven to be the most deranged and ridiculous fanboys of them all. Every single time.
One game, I don't know why.
I'm trying really hard to be fair, I promise. But hey, it's always possible I missed something, so feel free to drop suggestions for the worst take of the month in my Discord. Now, moving on. The rest of the news is all fairly quick hits, but there's a lot of them, so let's get going. Surgent Studios, the developers behind Tales of Kenzera Zao, is facing layoffs, and nobody's really surprised. A lot of people blame Sweet Baby Inc. on the studio's troubles, and that's at least partially true in my opinion. The game definitely came around with the worst possible timing imaginable. At the height of Sweet Baby's backlash and launching right by a few other high-profile games including Stellar Blade. I made a video about this game a while back too if you're interested on more details about it. Embracer destroys another game studio once again, this time Piranha Bytes, a studio that has been around for 25 years and known for the Gothic and Alex series. This goddamn corporate conglomerate is like the touch of death, so I'm honestly expecting every developer they don't sell off to be shut down eventually. Fortunately, 2 of the studio's leads have formed their own studio, so hopefully they can find success after this. Rumors: Nintendo may be censoring games now. The first hint was the game Yuna and the Haunted Hot Springs earlier this year. Even though the Switch version was the least censored visually, there were voice lines removed during those scenes for some unknown reason. Now we have another game being released on Switch called Tokyo Clanpool, another game being brought back by East Asia Soft, and they are known for re-releasing titles similar to this on Switch uncensored, including ones that were censored previously such as Mugen Souls. But so far there has been no confirmation that this game will be uncensored like their previous releases. I'll keep an eye on this story if it updates. On the other hand, we have Capcom, who is willingly censoring their old games for whatever reason. The Dead Rising remaster will have one of the characters race swapped to white because stereotypes of one race is okay, while all others are not, I guess. They also censored the artwork for SNK vs. Capcom SVC Chaos, covering up Mai's cleavage, obscuring another female character from the bottom of the art, and they even added a little disclaimer at the game's startup. At least they didn't change the content in-game, but this is just utterly pathetic. Ubisoft adds a similar disclaimer at the beginning of Beyond Good and Evil Anniversary. Why? Not only that, this re-release is still the same game with some better graphics, Ubisoft Connect DRM, Denuvo DRM, and a big price hike. Somehow after treating you gamers like garbage, you still gave this version very positive reviews. Stockholm Syndrome or something, I don't know. Don't buy this version. Get the original version on GOG instead if you want it on PC. It's way cheaper anyway. Kotaku Australia shuts down, and nothing of value was lost. Shift Up, the creators of Stellar Blade, goes public, meaning they can have their stocks purchased on the stock market. This was really good for the company lead, who became a billionaire as a result, but this can only be bad for us. For one, Tencent is the biggest player in Shift Up now, and now they will be less inclined to make games that players want and will be catering to their investors more. Expect their games to be toned down more and more over time. EA goes full EA and ruins Apex Legends years after launch by introducing a massively more expensive Battle Pass system. Honestly, if you still play this, you kinda get what you deserve. You probably heard about the Dr. Disrespect drama, right? Well, Rogue Company, a game that was dwindling for a while, does a massive virtue signal by removing Dr. Disrespect from their game, but rather than refunding players who bought his skins, all they get is in-game currency instead. They clearly don't give a shit, do they? Concord has its beta, and nobody cares. Well, except to make fun of it, because the only people I've seen claim to actually be excited for it are PlayStation fanboys. On Steam, the numbers were very underwhelming, which was to be expected, but Concord has also achieved the impossible. They've defeated Rule 34. From first showing on May 30th through the beta to now, there are still 0 results on Rule 34. Congratulations.
U-G-L-Y, she ain't got no alibi, she ugly.
Screw off.
M, she's made you ugly. O, she's fat and pugly. Oh my god, no, the cow says moo.
Humble Games lays off its entire staff and claims to be restructuring. I don't know what that means, but sucks to be one of them, I guess. Just another in a long list of layoffs for 2024. The Olympics announces esports competitions. Isn't that just great? I don't think this is going to increase the viewership all that much, but what do I know about esports? Oh, also there's going to be no Mario and Sonic's Olympics game because they dropped that in favor of esports and NFTs, of all things.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
The SAG-AFTRA strike has started once again, and this time it includes video game voice actors. I'm telling you, it was a better time when games were designed without voice acting in mind. Also, these guys are playing with fire at this point. The biggest grievance they have currently is being replaced with AI, but I feel like actions like this will just accelerate their replacement. Maybe I'm wrong? I don't know. After 19 years, the Xbox 360 store is finally closed down. Really, it was only a matter of time, and to their credit, they kept it open way longer than I expected. Meanwhile, original Xbox Ones are apparently failing to update if they haven't been updated in a while, which is strange, but you know what that means, right? No update, no online check-in, no playing your games because Xbox is online only. Sucks, don't it? But this will probably be fixed eventually. Bungie lays off 220 more employees right at the end of the month. Starting to seem like buying Bungie was a bad investment, huh, Sony? And apparently many people are calling for the CEO's resignation because they are repeatedly floundering like this, and the CEO recently made the tone-deaf move of showing off his recently acquired exotic cars during these layoffs. Don't you just love American CEOs?
These damn rich people.
Last, we have a new competitor in the Game of the Year awards show circus. The real Game Awards. Yep, move over, Jeff, it's totally Jover for your irrelevant little show. Check out my previous video if you want to learn more. Now, time for Last Month in Localization. Starting with the one you were all expecting, Trails Through Daybreak.
Your shoulders.
Is it bad? Of course it is. How bad exactly? Actually, it seems to be less egregious than the previous game at least, but people have started up a thread that keeps track of all the alterations and rewrites that have been found in the Steam forums, so check that out at your own leisure. Another thing they managed to screw up again, though, is all the Collector's Edition pre-orders that keep arriving late. Come on, Nisa. You should have gotten your shit fixed since last summer. Another Falcom game got re-released in July, though, Tokyo Xanadu EX Plus on Nintendo Switch. This game got a few upgrades, as well as an upgrade to its localization by Axis, but, well, does something like this look like an upgrade? I swear, these localizers just can't help themselves. There was also quite a bit of drama over the new Final Fantasy XIV expansion, Dawn Trail. At first, it looked like a lot of people were putting the blame on the localization and poor English performance by the spotlighted character, Wook Lamont, and others were being overly defensive due to the character's voice actor's identity, but no. The reality is that this expansion isn't as great as the others in general, which is why it has a mixed rating on Steam currently. For some reason, they thought taking the spotlight away from the player for much longer than before was a good idea. Want to laugh at some Genshin drama? People are planning to boycott Genshin. Again. People are mad that the new characters from a new region that vaguely resembles Africa aren't dark-skinned, crying about representation and all that. They seem to be forgetting that Genshin isn't real, and the character design does not and has not reflected real life all that well since the beginning anyway. Oh, and they're not going to quit the game. They'll still keep playing it. Just another example of how these boycotts never work. But the reason I'm including it in the localization segment is that some of the people openly criticizing the game are some of Genshin's own Western voice actors. Just the Western ones, of course. Nobody else seems to care or see any isms other than Westerners, of course. Last, we have a bit of a different topic. This article here, claiming that Nintendo refuses to credit their translators. Sounds pretty bad, doesn't it? Well, this article is actually quite misleading. Sure, there are some translators who aren't credited on a per-name basis, but the reason for that is that they are not actual main translators and localizers for the game's script that work for Nintendo of America. They are third-party translator companies who are paid to do translation work. In their own article, they show this image here, which lists not only the translator company, but a long list of other companies that they worked with to make the game. If it's so bad that these third-party translators are not individually credited, then logically it's also a problem that the people from these companies aren't individually credited too, right? It's a normal practice and has been a normal practice for a long time. Why are they only singling out Nintendo for doing this, and why are they only being bleeding hearts to the poor uncredited translators? Selective outrage. Maybe trying to drum up support for the localizers against AI thing. Or maybe just bad journalism. You decide. Last, we have a few more showcases to go over, most of which were a waste of time, but here we go. Capcom Next on July 1st. Waste of time. There was nothing new here and it was only 3 games. Why even make it a showcase? A few companies showed off stuff at Anime Expo, including Axis Games, but it was mostly console ports of games already out. Bandai Namco's Summer Showcase was also there, which only featured 4 games based off of anime, including Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Next was Brilliant Indie Treasures on July 10th, which, for some reason, they won't let us watch anymore. Thanks for making this difficult, I guess. You can see all the featured games on their website, though. Next was Shueisha Games On July 17th. One of those shows with more talking than games, most of which were old news anyway. Next we have Tacticon, a digital event hosted by publishers Fire Squid and Hooded Horse, who specialize in strategy games. A lot of stuff on here appeals to me personally, not gonna lie, other than the fact that lots of them were games that are already out. But have fun listening to all those conferences, holy shit. Better just check the site instead. We also have Bit Summit Drift. This long 3-day show had mostly ads and talking, but I did find a few hidden gems there. And I think that was it. Pretty underwhelming, but next month has a few that might be more promising. As always, I'll have links to each of these in the description. Now, finally, time for the releases. Remember, starting this month, I will not be featuring games that are coming out in the next month. I will only feature games that are already out. So, that means what you're going to see is the current Steam review score for each of these. Some of them may be in the mixed range, but that's not always an indication that the game is actually bad. Use your own discretion as always. Also, since this month's releases would have been cut much shorter than usual since I already went over most of July's games last month, I decided to include more than that. Anything I felt worth covering from earlier in the year that I missed going all the way back to January, because I don't like just taking the easy way out on this, I guess. Maybe I should make a hard limit on the number of games I show each month. Anyway, let's get into it, shall we? Starting with Universim, which came out of early access all the way back on January 22nd. A god game, city builder, civilization simulator that looks so far up my alley that I'm surprised I missed it. On February 1st, The Great Rebellion came out, a rare instance of an explicitly anti-woke game, so use your own discretion on that, but from what I've heard, it's actually a solid 2D action roguelite game. On February 21st, Myth of Empires came out of early access, an open-world survival crafting game set in the ancient mythological times. Just be aware the game has DRM and microtransactions. On February 27th, Wrath, Aeon of Ruin came out, a boomer shooter reminiscent of the N64 era with a dark setting, gore, and big weapons. On February 29th, KeeperRL came out of early access, a base-building dungeon keeper simulator with what looks like a lot of customization options to keep out those pesky heroes. Moving on to March, we got the Möbius Machine on the 1st, a 2.5D Metroidvania with what looks like a run-and-gun style of gameplay. Another one to add to my list that I will probably never catch up on at this point. On March 5th, Classified France 44 came out, a turn-based tactics game set in France during World War II. Take on some stealthy covert ops missions against the Nazis that have taken over your homeland. Also on March 5th, Quilts and Cats of Calico came out, a casual puzzle game where you stitch together colorful quilts and play with cats or something. Or on March 19th, you can play as Kinniku Neko Super Muscle Cat, a very Japanese insane fever dream 2D platformer thing with some goofy minigames. On March 21st, Fida Puti Samurai came out, a goofy take on the boomer shooter genre featuring waifus and pervy humor. On March 27th, Macross Shooting Insight came out, a classic style 2.5D shoot 'em up that doesn't have the best reception so far, but hey, maybe the cute waifus make it worth it. Also on March 27th, Terra Memoria came out, an old school style turn-based RPG with some nice pixel art on a 3D backdrop, and furries. On March 28th, we got Maniac, a roguelite of chaos, where you cause as much destruction and mayhem as possible until you get busted or wasted. Moving on to April, we have Planetiles on April 3rd, a casual planet-themed puzzle game where you try to fill in every square on the map. On April 5th, Sons of Valhalla, a 2D action combat and base-building strategy game. Rise up and conquer England like the savage Viking you are. On April 6th, Fractals of Destiny came out, an action RPG that looks very inspired by 7th gen games. Seems kinda janky, but also kinda nice looking. On April 9th, Yellow Taxi Goes Vroom, a casual taxi-based platformer collectathon thing inspired by the N64 classics. On April 18th, Nexus 5X came out, a 4X or 5X strategy game where it has all the hallmarks of a 4X game but tailored around shorter 60-minute sessions. On April 25th, Oriental Valley came out, a Chinese farming sim and adventure game, because you can never have enough farming sims, right? On April 26th, Jack Holmes' Master of Puppets came out, a first-person survival horror action game where you explore an abandoned theme park. Again, it's got a badass theme song in the trailer though. On April 29th, Gardener Plant Creator came out, a casual game where you assort and customize a garden, and you can do it for free. Rounding out April, we have Foot Gun Underground on the 30th, a 2D action roguelite with balls. Yeah, your main attack is kicking different types of balls at your enemies. Sounds fun. On May 2nd, Indica came out, an alternate history game where you play as a nun in 19th century Russia who can communicate with the devil. On May 15th, Men of War came out, a World War II real-time strategy game and long-awaited sequel to the cult classic series, though based on the reviews, seems they still have some work to do. On May 16th, Hexahedra came out, a programming-based puzzle game about building boxes, I guess. On May 23rd, Terra Memoria came out, a turn-based traditional roguelike with permadeath and all that, where the world is randomly generated. On May 24th, Sonar Shot came out, a horror FPS RPG thing involving a haunted submarine in the Soviet Union. Stay sane, comrade. On to June, we have Kien on July 14th, which is coming out on Game Boy Advance of all things. If you don't know, this game was actually planned to come out back in the GBA's lifetime, but it got shelved until it was revived recently, so here it is. There are even physical copies for sale. On June 18th, Universal Conquest came out, another one of those 4X strategy games, this time with what looks like some crazy depth and minimalist graphics reminiscent of the 90s. On June 21st, Megacopter Blades of the Goddess came out, an arcade-style helicopter game where your copter is powered up by the blood of your enemies. On June 26th, Rota's Nautical Chronicles of Trade came out, a cute little game where you build up a little trading town. A bit low in the ratings so far, but maybe the cuteness makes up for it. On June 27th, Pizza Hero came out, a roguelite shooter similar to Vampire Survivors where you play as a slice of pizza, because why not? On to July, starting with Vey on the 7th, which is a classic JRPG that was stuck on the Sega CD for so long, now has a remastered port with several new features. On July 12th, the second in the trilogy of classic marathon games has been released on Steam for free, so go get it. Also on July 12th, Infinite Inside was released, a surreal first-person puzzle game for VR featuring those wacky stairs and shit. I always forget what they're called. On July 15th, Fizz and the Rainbow Planet came out, a cute little platformer reminiscent of the GBA days. Doesn't have full English, but it should be easily playable regardless, at least. On July 16th, Enlisted was released, a free-to-play squad-based World War II multiplayer shooter. Use soldiers, tanks, aircraft, and more to outplay your enemies. Also on July 16th, Outrage Fight Fist came out, a goofy-ass party-style fighting game for you and your friends to hate each other over. On July 17th, Terrascape came out, the game featured throughout this video, another city builder and puzzle game where you build stuff on floating islands and do all sorts of stuff on randomly generated maps. Also on July 17th, yeah, you want those games, right? So here you go, now let's see you clear them. 2 came out. Yeah, it's a collection of mini-games that are ripped off of those weird, misleading mobile/browser game ads you see around the internet, but made actually playable. On July 18th, Galia came out, a very colorful roguelite action and puzzle game made by one guy. Props to you, man. Also on July 18th, Space Prison came out, a turn-based strategy game where you use your strength and wits to rise to the top of the food chain. Also on July 18th, USC Counterforce came out, a turn-based tactics strategy game inspired by XCOM and the like. So, prepare to die a lot. On July 22nd, Veritas came out, a hipstery 2D Zelda-like that looks very inspired by the Game Boy Color era. On July 24th, Tactics Greed came out, a casual RTS roguelite with deck-building elements where you control these funny-looking bean soldier dudes. Also on July 24th, Valley Peaks came out, a casual first-person exploration parkour hiking thing where you play as a frog guy. On July 25th, Abathor came out, a 2D action fantasy game reminiscent of the Genesis days with shirtless buff dudes, bikini armored babes, and some awesome pixel art. Also on July 25th, Herkato the Delivery Hero came out, a 2D precision platformer where you play as a cat trying to deliver stuff to your unusually inconvenient destinations. Also on July 25th, Silvio Black Waters came out, one of those atmospheric horror FPS games to scare the piss out of you for fun. On July 26th, Frontier Hunter Ezra's Wheel of Fortune came out, a 2.5D Metroidvania with RPG mechanics and some nice waifu action. To my list, it certainly goes. Lastly, on July 29th, Ogu and the Secret Forest came out, a cute 2D action adventure with exploration and puzzles sort of game. And there we have it. Hope you found something you might like in that list of stuff I missed over the past 7 months. I know I did. Like, a lot of them. Like, every RNG video I make. So many that I want to play that I get choice paralysis and end up playing none of them. First world problems. Anyway, thanks for tuning in if you made it all the way to the end. Feel free to leave a comment on what you think of any of these news stories, or if you found a game in the releases you like. And don't forget to give it a like and share it around to anyone who may be interested in this kind of content. Or a dislike if you're a pony. I also have a Steam curator that keeps track of every game featured in this video series and this channel in general. Don't forget to check out my other content such as my top 10s, which I will have a new one of in a couple months. Catch me on stream every now and then throughout the week, or every Monday at 3 PM Pacific, 6 PM Eastern for a public Smash arena. Join my Discord server if you want to suggest games for the release list, or suggest bad takes for the worst take of the month, or just to call me gay. Catch my videos on Rumble or Odyssey if you want a YouTube alternative, or follow me on the X-Twitter where I post vast quantities of jack and shit. And as always with this fuckleduck of an industry, have high standards, low expectations.